Hello everyone, and welcome back to episode number 124 of the Dear Herbalist Podcast, titled Cooling the Fire, Herbal Solutions for Summer Heat, Stress, and Inflammation. If you are new to this channel, you are most certainly welcome. If you are a returning listener, you know I definitely appreciate you. Thank you so very much for continuing to tune in and to listen to this informative podcast. Like I told you guys before, we are going to start to dive deep into the elements of formulation. And I thought because it's the summer now, it's very hot outside, we need to talk about some herbal solutions to beat the summer heat, but not also the external heat, the internal heat that we or people are dealing with as well. So let's get into it. Now, when we say cooling herbs, we often think of taste, sensation, or energetics. But like I told you before, we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're actually talking about how to design herbal formulas that respond to different kinds of heat. Not just the sun that's beating you down, but also the internal heat of inflammation, the nervous agitation of overstimulation, the drying heat of dehydration, and even the metabolic fire that can burn too hot as well. Understanding these types of heat help us to create a targeted, intelligent formula that actually cool the system down from multiple angles, utilizing both biochemistry and energetics. So, get your pencils, papers, notepads, back of a receipt, whatever you got, grab that, sit down, let's have a conversation, and let's break this down. So, let's talk about, first and foremost, the different types of heat, because not all heat is the same. In herbal medicine, heat is more than just the temperature, it's actually a pattern. And if you listen to earlier podcasts, you know we've already discussed patterns. But heat can also show up in many different forms of the body. Number one is called external heat. So think of what we're experiencing right now, these high summer temperatures, exposure to the sun, a lot of sweat, UV radiation. This is the environment pushing heat onto your body. Okay, that's external heat. The other one is inflammatory heat. And this can be a result of chronic or acute inflammation, which is coupled with redness, swelling, pain. And this is where the cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha are their most active. Another form of heat is your nervous system heat. So this is agitation, insomnia, overstimulation, often from sympathetic overdrive or lack of GABA tone. And what I mean by that is that our nervous system heat shows up as agitation, lack of sleep, or overstimulation. And it's often driven by excess sympathetic activity, and that is our fight or flight response, or low GABA levels, making it hard for the body to be able to relax, reset, and cool down internally. So that's what I mean when I say that. Another heat is our digestive and metabolic heat. This is the heat in our belly. So over acidity, sluggish elimination, or heat tied to excess liver activity or bile stagnation. This is your digestive and metabolic heat. And then another heat is dehydrating heat. And this is heat that pulls moisture from our tissues, leading to dryness, irritability, and fluid loss at the cellular level. So what's important to understand about all of these different types of heat is that each kind of heat needs a different type of cooling. So let's explore how these herbs can actually help, utilizing scientific understanding on how we can cool the body down when it gets overheated or a lot of heat, however you want to look at that. One of the herbs that we look at and the chemicals that we look at are mint and menthol. And this is cooling external and sensory heat. So we'll start with the mint, which they call the queen of summer herbs. I don't know who came up with that, but hey, do with it what you want. That's what they're saying. But when you drink peppermint tea or you apply mint oil on the skin, what you're really doing is activating a receptor called TRPM8. This receptor is a cold sensing ion channel in the skin and the nervous system. And what happens is menthol binds to this receptor and your brain interprets it as a cooling sensation even if your body temperature has not changed. It's like sensory trickery, but it's actually really powerful. And it's perfect for external heat like sun exposure, hot flashes, or summer exertion. A formulation tip that I would like to leave with you when it comes to mint and menthol is you can use peppermint in hydrosols, cooling foot soaks, or teas with hibiscus and lemon balm for internal and external relief. That is a formulation tip. Now let's look at your nervous system heat. This is cooling the mind without sedating it. Now, have you ever, or are you currently experiencing, feeling like fried in the summer? It's between the heat, the noise, social events, longer daylight hours, a lot of activities going on. And in that time, the nervous system can actually overheat. So what we would use in the herbal medicine world is called nervines because they directly act on the nervous system. So here are some cooling nervines that you can use to help when you have a nervous system that is all over the place. Okay, a lot of heat in there. One is lemon balm because it modulates the GABA, which enhances calm without knocking you out. Linden is another herb that you can use because it promotes vascular relaxation and it reduces oxidative stress. It's great for high-strung and anxious heat. So if you got somebody that's a lot of just anxiousness and high-strung, can't sit down nowhere, consider linden. And then another herb is milky oats. This can nourish your depleted nerves, especially when the heat has burned through your emotional reserves. These herbs calm what I call neuroinflammatory heat. And this is when the mind races and your body begins to tense up. These herbs help calm that. Now, you can pair these herbs with adaptogens like tulsi or schizandra, and this will actually bring the entire stress axis within the body into balance. Now, let's talk about dehydrating heat. There are herbs that actually hydrate from the inside. One important thing to know, a key thing to understand, is that heat depletes moisture, not just in sweat, but at the tissue and the cellular level. So when you think about hydration, it's not just about drinking water. It's about retaining the fluid, protecting your mucous membranes, and supporting your electrolyte balance. A lot of times people say, I feel dehydrated. Okay, just grab some water and you'll be fine, right? But it's not just about that. Sometimes you may need coconut water because you are depleted in your electrolytes. And so it's not just about the drinking of the water. You want to make sure that you have the proper minerals and you want to make sure that you are able to keep the fluid. It can get within the cells and stay there and keep you hydrated. So if you want to stay hydrated, okay, from this dehydrating heat, there are 3 herbs that you should consider. One is hibiscus. Now, this is a tangy, really high in antioxidants. It's a mild diuretic, but it does cool the body without drying. Nettle is loaded with tons of minerals like potassium, magnesium, and calcium, and these are very essential for fluid balance. Marshmallow root is another one. This one, they call it a mucilage, right? And it's a demulcent because it soothes and hydrates your tissues, not just the thirst. So if you want to blend these together, try a cold infusion of marshmallow, hibiscus, nettle, and lime, because it doesn't just hydrate, it actually restores moisture patterns and nourishes depleted system. Now let's talk about a common type of heat, very common type of heat in a lot of people and a lot of people that I see is inflammatory heat. And this is the fire beneath the surface. So let's look at inflammation. This is one of the most common and overlooked forms of internal heat. You can use herbs like calendula because they do more than just soothe the skin. they actually modulate the cytokine activity, and they stimulate your fibroblasts and encourage tissue repair. So I know that sounded very scientific-y, but basically what that means is that it helps the body to repair the tissues that are damaged because of the heat of the inflammation that is within the body. So inflammatory heat can show up in the body as a sunburn, rash, swelling, systemic pain. And what you want to use is calendula. You can use it topically in oils or hydrosols, or you can use it internally in formulas that actually target the skin, the gut, or immune inflammation. Now, you can also pair calendula with plantain, chickweed, or even cleavers for lymphatic movement and cooling and repair as well. And your lymphatic system, like I've explained before, is like your body's waste system. So you definitely want to keep that moving and keep it clear. Let's look at formulation in action. And you guys know I try to make my podcast, I try to make my videos. I have several other videos in the queue that I'm going to do on YouTube about formulation. I want to keep these videos very straight to the point because I understand that sometimes when you're trying to find information, you don't want to hear all the gab. You really just want to get to what you need and it work and be effective and move forward. I'm that type of person. I was like that early on in my herbal medicine journey, just researching and studying and watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts and all these other things. And sometimes I felt that the podcaster or the YouTuber or, the person that I was looking to at the time when I was researching was a little too wordy, or they took forever to get to the point. And time is a premium these days. So I always want to make sure that I'm getting to the point, but I also want to make sure I'm explaining things thoroughly as well so that you can understand it from all angles. So I don't want to leave this podcast without talking to you about formulation in action. And this is a cooling elixir that I'm getting ready to give you, and we're going to walk through it together. And you can actually connect this to all of the heat types that we have talked about this evening. So you can call this the cooling summer tea or the cooling summer drink or elixir or whatever you want to call it. But consider it, okay? One is hibiscus. And like I told you, this is an external and internal cooling herb, and it's anti-inflammatory. Another one is lemon balm. This will regulate your nervous system heat. Tulsi is very adaptogenic. Basically, it helps your body be able to adapt to stress. It is calming and it's slightly drying. Lime juice is very alkalinizing. It's very rich in minerals, and it's great for fluid balance. And then raw honey. This is a demulcent and it supports energy. So what you want to do is gather all these together, steep in cold overnight, and then you can strain it. And in the morning or afternoon or whatever you want to drink it, you can serve it over ice. And this blend is really designed to support your mind, the skin, your nerves, and your tissues. And it's cooling by design, both energetically and pharmacologically. Say that word 3,000 times. So remember, when we formulate for the summer, we're not just chasing a flavor or tradition. We are designing for perception through, I told you, the TRMP M8, through neurochemistry, which is the GABA and oxidative stress, through fluid dynamics within our body, hydration, mucilage, through hydration, mucilage, and minerals. We're designing for cytokine balance, inflammation, and constitutional energetic, hot and dry versus cool or moist. The body speaks in heat, and herbs have the answer. They really do. So next time you reach for a cooling herb, ask yourself, what kind of heat am I trying to cool? Because this question will help you understand how. So the next time you reach for a cooling herb, ask yourself, what kind of heat am I actually trying to cool? And this is very important because once you know, now you can make a more targeted, Now you can make a more targeted, direct formulation that really will work for yourself or for your clients or whoever you're using it for, because you are addressing accurately the right type of heat. And like I said, not all heat is the same. So thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's podcast. I did want to keep it short, keep it tight, keep it sweet. If this episode has kind of sparked new ideas or even remind you why you love herbs and formulation, please share it with a friend. Let me know in the comments below on Spotify and YouTube, did you try to make this fancy elixir? Let me know how it's working for you. And please tag me on my Instagram handle at the Demystified Herbalist. I would love to hear from you. So stay tuned. Next week, we're going to talk about extraction solvents. What you pull determines what you heal. And if you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my social media sites at The Demystified Herbalist. And until next time, family, stay cool and keep formulating with a purpose. And with that being said, I'm out.